How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of Beared Down Uncut, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. While there has been some smoke from Philadelphia and a little bit of, mystery when it comes to the situation, the Bears are still the front runners when it comes to the Carson Wentz trade. So today, in episode number 126 of Uncut, we're going to be discussing why Bears fans should buy into Wentz if he comes to Chicago. We have 3 reasons for you guys. 3 reasons that in any of our 3 reasons videos that we've done in the past probably add up more than anything else we've done. So let's hop right into it. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I am your host, Chris Maltby. Today, to the right of me, I'm joined by my co-host. He's video editor and producer here as well, Zach Rimbos. Zach, what's going on, buddy?
Just finished up some classes, getting back on here to record and keep putting out content for you guys. So I'm ready. Love to talk about some Bears football, so let's do it.
Absolutely, and no more polarizing topic in Bears football right now than Carson Wentz. I think Bears fans are pretty hinged on the idea that he's going to end up in Chicago. Us definitely being some of those. I mean, obviously things could still happen. It seems like Philadelphia with their negotiations are being a little bit bold, wanting a bit more than they should for Wentz. It seems like the Bears' final offer ended up being a first-round pick, Nick Foles, and an offensive player not named Tariq Cohen. That was confirmed by Cohen on Twitter. But it seems like the offer still stands at this point. But you know what? We're going to keep getting videos out to you guys as much as we can. Haven't posted in a couple days just because I had to get over the hump. I had COVID. I'm feeling better now, and hopefully things will be back to normal here soon in the next 5 to 7 days. So be sure to look out for content every day. We're gonna try and do the best we can to get you guys stuff as much as possible. But let's hop right into it. 3 reasons why Bears fans should believe in Carson Wentz if he comes to Chicago. Let's start with this. And there's nothing more simple than this. Carson Wentz was a certified baller from 2016 to 2019, whether or not you like it. 2016 obviously came into the league his rookie year. He did throw 16 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. It was easily his worst year in the league other than 2020, but he still had 3,782 passing yards, and that Eagles team finally started to compete once again in the NFC East. 2017, his MVP season, 3,296 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions with an average passer rating of 101.9. That was his best year in the league. Obviously went down with, I believe, a torn ACL against the Rams. Nick Foles came in, led the team to a Super Bowl victory. A lot of that season, obviously, is credited to Foles. People say they want a Foles statue in Philadelphia, but Wentz got them to a really good record in the regular season and was definitely a reason that they got put in a good position to make the playoffs. So he came back in 2018, a little bit weaker of a year, but still a solid campaign. Over 3,000 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, with a better passer rating than he had in 2017. So even though he didn't do much on paper, it was still a good season for him. And then in 2019, his first career year, breaking 4,000 passing yards, he also threw 27 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions, with a passer rating of 93.1. Look, I don't think Wentz had too much help in 2020, and I think Zach would agree with me in Philadelphia. The Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer in the history of their franchise. Wentz was able to put it together nicely throughout that 3 or 4 year stretch. He was either throwing a lot of touchdowns, he was putting up a lot of passing yards, being consistent in games, putting up a solid passer rating. He had quite the cast around him, and we'll get into that a little bit later, something that the Bears are going to have to put around him if he wants to succeed in Chicago. But we've seen him put up the numbers. I'm not sure if his worst would be better or worse than Mitchell Trubisky's worst, but Carson Wentz has put up numbers consistently throughout his time in the league. Up until 2020, he's been pretty impressive. I mean, even in his rookie season, when he did throw 16 and 14, he still threw for almost 4,000 passing yards. So our number one reason why the Bears should buy into and believe in Carson Wentz is that he's simply put up numbers in the past. Until 2020, I'm pretty sure a lot of NFL fans thought of him as one of the better quarterbacks in the league and an underrated player. So that's our number one reason. I'm going to pass it along to Zach now. But Zach, what is your second reason for why the Bears should buy into Carson Wentz?
Yeah, so I mean, just going off of what you were saying too, you have to keep in mind Carson Wentz was the second most sacked quarterback in the league in 2020. Russell Wilson was sacked 52 times, and then Carson Wentz 50, which is one more than Deshaun Watson. Obviously, we know Deshaun Watson did not have a very good line, bottom tier, and you saw a lot in the news of Russell Wilson being unhappy, his camp being unhappy about how he's not able to have an offensive line, but when we're talking about Carson Wentz, you have to keep in mind he obviously was lacking weapons. And so the Bears, while they have questions at wide receiver 1 this offseason, they're obviously going to have to address the offensive line as well, potentially an offensive tackle on the draft or Orlando Brown, if that's even an option as well.
Yeah, it would surely be nice if the trade happens, which I think a lot of Bears fans are under the assumption that it will, just based on there being multiple reports that the Bears are putting in the best offer. I think we would all like it if it was a 2022 first, so the Bears could have that 20th pick this year and be right in the sweet spot for a good offensive lineman.
Exactly. But if we're talking about Carson Wentz, and if we do make that trade, like you said, the bidding, it seems the Bears have the highest bid right now, and we're not too sure if that's confirmed yet, but obviously
a lot of smoke.
Yes, it's a lot of smoke screens, and that's always how the media portrays it. But if it does happen, John Defilippo, who was promoted to pass game coordinator and has been the quarterback's coach of the Bears since last year, he was part of that system under Doug Peterson when they went and won the Super Bowl in 2017, in which Wentz was his MVP caliber season. He had 33 touchdowns, as Chris said before, and 7 interceptions. It worked very well. He was the quarterback's coach of the Eagles at that time. And obviously we saw what happened there. He completely reconstructed his throwing motion going into the 2017 season. And he had a great year. And so obviously we could only hope that things work out there. But Doug Peterson, Andy Reid, and Matt Nagy all coming from the same place. Matt Nagy obviously trying to run his system, Andy Reid's system, that is. Doug Peterson, sort of the same. Matt Nagy will have a chance if Carson Wentz is the quarterback of the Bears in 2021 to be able to try and run that system again. And hopefully John Defilippo can step up and make Carson Wentz what he was in 2017.
Yeah, that's going to be really important. And the familiarity there with Wentz is probably something that attracts him to Chicago as much as it would attract him to, say, Indianapolis with Frank Reich. There was a report a couple of days ago, I believe from someone out of Chicago, that John Defilippo believes that if Carson Wentz comes here, he could fix him yet again. He was really a key attributor to getting Wentz going in Philadelphia. And it seems like regardless of where Wentz goes, the belief is that there's going to be some technical stuff that needs to be worked on with his throwing motion and such. But we know Carson Wentz can read a defense. He's done it throughout the entirety of his career. But John Defilippo believes he can fix him. Also, that Andy Reid system, wherever Wentz ends up, whether it's Indianapolis, whether it's Chicago, whether it's San Francisco, whether it's Houston, I think he would be best fit going somewhere where Doug Peterson's system was run, and Chicago being one of those. We saw Matt Nagy throughout his time try and make Mitch Trubisky a pocket passer when obviously Mitch was in Chicago, assuming that he's moving on. And I think that's something you can do with Carson Wentz. He's someone who isn't entirely a scrambling quarterback. He can use his legs, yes, but we've seen success from him throughout time, just sitting in the pocket and waiting for the open receiver. And he's had quite the amount of pieces around him. So let's hop into this third point now. Why Bears fans and the team should buy into Carson Wentz is because if you can put good pieces around him and surround him with a successful team, he's definitely more capable of thriving. We've seen him have a ton of success, especially once again in that 2017 season, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, with a passer rating of 101. He had some great players around him offensively. LeGarrette Blount, Darren Sproles. We also saw him have some success with guys like Jay Ajayi. Back then, his wide receiver room was Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith when he was still in the league, Nelson Aguilar, Mac Hollins. And then you look at the tight ends, it's something that's so important in the Andy Reid system. And we've seen the Bears have quite the significant upgrade at tight ends this year with Jimmy Graham and Cole Kmet versus in years past. And in 2017 and up till this date, Ertz had Zach Wentz had Zach Ertz, as well as Brent Selleck and then Trey Burton at the time. And now you see Dallas Goedert having some success there as well. And great offensive lines are definitely something that is important as well. Jason Peters, Layton Johnson, Halapalui Vitae, or however you say that guy's name. He's starting on the Lions right now. He was great as well. And you look at the rest of their offensive line, he had some great pieces around him. Brandon Brooks, Jason Kelsey, Stefan Wisniewski. So you can put good pieces around Wentz, and he will find success. You also take a look at that Philadelphia defense back in 2017. I think it's a defense a lot of NFL fans overlooked, and something similar to what Chicago has right now. Brandon Graham, Vinny Curry, Derek Barnett, Chris Long, Fletcher Cox, Timmy Jernigan, Jordan Hicks, Nigel Bradham, Michael Kendricks, when he was playing at the top of his game. A solid secondary, Ronald Darby, Jalen Mills, Malcolm Jenkins, Ronnie McLeod, Corey Graham. So we've seen Wentz thrive when you put successful pieces around him. I think something that is attractive about either Indianapolis or Chicago is that I think both teams are a good quarterback away from being some legitimate contenders. And the Bears definitely have that cutthroat defense that will be able to get Wentz the ball in good opportunities. And if they can't do that, because we've seen them dwindle in turnovers in the past, they'll at least be able to force some 3-and-outs, get him the ball, and let him do his thing. So thank you guys so much for tuning into episode number 126 of Uncut. Should be interesting to see what happens to Carson Wentz, but we're going to keep you guys covered on the situation until he gets traded. We thought it was going to happen early this week, but it seems like it's getting extended a little bit. Not the best way to do business, but the Philadelphia Eagles seem to be waiting to get a big fish to bite. If you want more content from us and want more on the Carson Wentz situation, head over to our website, bearddown.com. We're posting columns, articles, and blogs. We haven't had the website up and running for a while, but we're going to get it up and running, I believe, early next week to try and post an article every day to get you guys some good off-season content, NFL draft, new hirings, free agency trades. So be sure to head over to our website if you have any extra time. If you would like to find the podcast on Instagram and Twitter, be sure to find us on both platforms at Beared Down. And finally, you can find the links to our social media pages down in the description. Zach's as well as mine, our Instagram and Twitters. Definitely worth checking out to see more of our Bears coverage, as well as our thoughts on the entire National Football League. Zach Rimbos, seems like Carson Wentz could be heading to Chicago. It still seems like it's likely to happen, but we see a lot of smoke out of Philadelphia, so I guess we're just going to have to continue in playing the waiting game. But any last words before we close this one off?
Yeah, this is the best part of the offseason prior to the draft and free agency, and I'm really excited, although, content is starting to kind of go a little shallow here because obviously we're trying to reach.
I would say probably for the month of February, it dwindles a little. This is probably the most boring month to be a football fan after the Super Bowl's over.
And last year we found tremendous success on the YouTube after the draft and all of that, so always expect, we're going to do great draft coverage this year. We're obviously going to be following up with whatever happens, any big trades or anything that happens with the Chicago Bears. There's a lot of questions this offseason, so it should be a good one. And I'm always appreciative of hopping on and talking some Bears football. Thank you guys very much. And that's pretty much it. Bear down, baby.
Yeah, definitely a lot coming this offseason. In terms of drafts, I'm sure we're going to start doing our mock draft series again, where we used to do 2 mock drafts a week. You guys absolutely love that. So there's a lot coming on. Even training camp and stuff. Free agency is also great. But we're going to, now that we're finally back into the loop of things, all in college, none of us infected anymore, I'm sure we're going to keep coming back to you guys with the content that you want. So be sure to subscribe, follow whatever platform you're on. And if you're on YouTube, do us a favor, drop a like. We appreciate your guys' support. You keep us motivated to keep coming back and making these sorts of videos. But guys, it's been a pleasure to be your host. Once again, my name is Chris Maltby. Bears fans, as always, do us a favor and stay safe and bear down. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.